doing life. It's the experience we all hold dear. It's reflected in our communities. It's reflected in our people. It's the one thing that unites us all, family and friends. Together, we all have something to share. Our guest today is Cindi Killen. Hi, Cindi.
Hi, Debbie. Good to be here.
Thank you. I would love to hear about all the children that you have raised. Can you share that with us?
I sure can. So my husband and I have been married for almost 41 years, and we have 7 children by birth and adoption. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't necessarily the plan. We started out with 3, and then we became foster parents. And we fostered for 11 years, and we had 54 children in our home, some as short as just one night, and one we had for 3 years.
Wow, that's wonderful.
It is.
And definitely shows your experience when it comes to raising children.
We have raised a lot of children.
That's great. So I would love to hear what you would say is necessary in creating a safe space for children. And I believe that probably changes depending on age.
Right. It really does. Well, a lot of what we noticed in parenting is that responding to a child's emotion rather than responding to the words that they're telling you is really important to help develop your relationship and to make them feel secure. Let me give you an example. So if you have a 2 or 3-year-old, because I found that 3-year-olds are a little harder than 2-year-olds. I don't know where that terrible 2 came from, but if you have a 3-year-old who's writhing on the floor and they're throwing a temper tantrum and they're saying, "I'm not tired, I don't want to go to bed," well, you know their words are not matching the emotion. Right. They're displaying the fact that they're incredibly tired and it's past nap time and they need to go, and they might need help getting there, meaning picking them up and carrying them up to their bed or their nap space, and putting them to bed. So we don't respond to the words, but we respond to the emotion. And so that child knows mom doesn't yell or dad doesn't yell, or we don't have to up the emotion, and we don't have to get mad, and we don't have to start demanding, "Now you stop that right now and you get upstairs to your bedroom." There's definitely a time for discipline. But in this situation, the emotion says, "Let's go to bed." Now, let's translate that to an older child, somebody who's a little older. And I've shared this recently, but our youngest daughter is 19. And she came to us one day, and I was just reading, and she walked up and she said, "Do you know that a man should be able to have a woman as a best friend and vice versa, and their spouse should not have a problem with that?" And she was just adamant, and I did exactly what you just did. Yeah. So instead of responding to, she just was so certain, at that age, somewhere between the age of 15, 16 and up to 19, even 20, they're trying to formulate, this is what I think. This is how the world works. This is these are the ideals that I'm going to live with. And nobody likes to be made fun of. But what I did when she told me that is laugh. I laughed. And I could just see on her face, it just angered her. It made her so angry. And so she started reiterating, no, and, trying to make her point. Well, if I had re-engaged my brain, so stopped and asked myself questions, what is she really saying? She's really asking me, what do you think about this? This is what I'm thinking. This is what I think could happen. What do you think? So instead of laughing and telling her, if your dad wanted to go to coffee with his best friend who was a woman and talk about us, I would really have a problem with that. If I had responded to her emotion and said, you're feeling really strongly about this. Tell me how you've arrived at that. What's going on that made you decide that this is the way that it should be? And opened up the conversation. Young people will come to you with conversation starters, and if you're not paying attention to the emotion, you might miss it.
Okay, so I'm hearing you say focus on emotion over words. Now, how would you
what kind of advice would you give to actually help parents get to that place?
Good. That's a good question. So the word tells us, and I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure and get it, the heart of the righteous studies how to answer, and that's Proverbs 15. And so what we need to do, because we were parented and our parents were parented, and many times we tend to parent in the same way that we were parented. So what we need to do is make a plan ahead of time. This is what I don't want to happen between myself and my child. You know, a childhood lasts a lifetime, and you can go back in your life and you can probably identify markers and memories that create emotions for you about the way that you were raised. And they might be very positive and they might not. And so a lot of times we have to make a plan to do it differently, and that's according to Scripture. I mean, Scripture gives us wisdom. This is how we live. And so when we make that plan and the child comes to us and there is the emotion and we've already decided, I'm not going to respond to the words that they're saying, those angry words or that cry that I'm not going to do this or I'm demanding this. Instead, I'm going to respond to the way that they're feeling. We do the same thing with our friends and our coworkers. We read between the lines because they're our friend and because we have to work with them. And we want to show our kids that same kind of respect and that same kind of feeling that we want a relationship with them. We want to hear them. We like them. We like talking to them.
Those are some great tips. Thank you so much. We all have different experiences, and we all have unique points of view. But the one thing that we all have in common is we all have something to share. I want to encourage you to share your life experiences with us. You can go to Medi-Share.com and share your story. Hope to see you on the next episode of Something to Share.
We've all been given gifts by God. Do you know what yours are? Here's a practical way to find out what they may be. Don't miss out on your spiritual gifting and how to put them into practice. Download your spiritual gifts worksheet now.